In this video, I'm going to show how to view iNaturalist data for the hole in the donut. So I'm going to start by logging in. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to log in, but whatever, just going to log in here. Then you look at this top corner, you have this big magnifying glass, the green magnifying glass. You're going to click there, and you can start by typing in hole in the donut. When you type in the hole in the donut, probably the first thing that's going to pop up is this project. And then you also have all of the res areas. So these are the polygons that I've created. So I'm going to open two things. I'm going to open the project under About, and then I'm also going to open Restoration Area 2020. And instead of for About, I'm going to put View Observations. Okay, so I open those as new tabs. So I'm going to close this since they're already over here. All right, so this is the project. The main picture in the project shows the entire hole in the donut with labels for each of the restoration areas. So this is something, you know, that's nice to look through. The bright green things are the mounds with all of they're called the spoil mounds with all the old agricultural soil. And yeah, so this includes all observations within the hole in the donut. If you scroll down below, you know, all of this stuff, this is showing you all of the things that are required for it to be in the project. So the location needs to be within all of the polygons that I created for all of the restoration areas. And then if you scroll further down, you will also see all of the observations mapped out on the restoration areas, right? So here's restoration area 2022. I don't have the mounds included in this. So you'll notice like this is not oranged out. It's because that is not one of the polygons that I created. I've thought about doing that. I might do that in a separate project, but I just haven't done that yet. And all of the little points are observations. Green ones are plants. Red ones are invertebrates. Blue ones are vertebrates. The purple ones are like this pinkish color is fungi, I think. I think slime molds also get grouped with that color. But anyway, so it's a lot of observations. If you scroll back up to the top, you can click here where it says observations, and then it's going to show them like this. You can also put list, and it'll list them like this. You can click species, and that's going to show you all of the species observed from most observed to least observed. So here's Mycania scandens, Typhodomagensis, and the observation count. So this is from most observed to least observed. You can see who the top identifiers are, who have added the most identifications here, and then who the top observers are. Obviously me, because I've worked out there for 5 years. So I've posted 6,800 observations so far in the hole in the donut, representing 754 species, right? So this is the project. The other thing that you can do is you can view individual restoration areas, right? So that's what I did with this tab that I have open here. I'm not going to open it yet. First, I'm going to go to, you can click anywhere here. You can click observations, or really the best way, I guess, to do this is to go to recent observations, right? I'm just trying to get out of like the project format, and I want to view it like just to view the observation. So I'm just going to put, I think, if I click search, it's going to take me to the actual project so that I can, you know, type in whatever I want here and kind of play around with the filters. When I'm back on this project page, I can't really play around with filters. Like if I only want to see the plants, if I only want to see birds or fish or dragonflies and filter it, so it's only showing me the dragonflies, I can't do that from this project page. So I can come over here to search to do that. Or, you know, when I type in hole in the donut, instead of putting About, which is what I did to get to this page, I'm going to click View Observations. And I didn't mention this, but the best way to do this is on a computer. You know, the app doesn't let you play around this way. And if you do it on the browser, like Safari or Google Chrome on a phone, it's not going to look as good. So it's really much better to do it on the computer. So now I can play around with the filters. Again, I can come over here to species. It shows me all of the top species. You'll notice all of the most observed species are going to be plants, because I'm the top observer. I've like, you know, there's a bias here towards plants because who's posted the most observations is me. And I've always, you know, focused on documenting the plants over and over and over again. So out of these 74 observations of rosy camphorweed, and I'm going to click on this and pop it up over here. Out of those 74 observations, you can see where they are mapped out. And you can see it's like a pretty big spread over the entire hole in the donut. And then, you know, out of those 74, 60 of them were me, and everyone else, you know, has just one, because not many people, you know, go out looking for plants, but I mean, I do it as part of my job as like a side thing. Okay. So yeah, that's rosy camphorweed. That's Plukia baccharis. This is the one that has Plukia odorata, which looks very similar. And again, if you want to focus on, hey, what does Plukia bacris look like? Look at all the photos you have of it. Some of them show it in flower. Some of them show it like kind of sad with just like a few leaves. It's just starting out. This one's a little bit bigger, but no flowers. So it's a really good way to get familiar with a plant. This actually looks like a duplicate. Yeah, I posted this one twice. I got to delete one of those observations, so I'll do that another time. Okay, so I'm going to go back now. I'm going to close this tab and go back to the entire hole in the donut. Let's say I only want to focus on grasses, right? Because this shows all organisms, right? Well, first I'm going to filter it so it's only plants. So here are the plants, all of the plants in the hole in the donut. So that's 387 different species. Notice before I put that plant filter, it was 1,039. Once I put it to plants, the number drops to 387. And again, this is all the plants. Now, let's say I want to see only the grasses of the hole in the donut. I could type in grasses, and let's see how many of those 300 and whatever species, 56, are grasses, right? Here's Erianthus giganteus, the sugarcane plume grass. This used to be Saccharum giganteum, right? So saccharum is like another name for sugar, something like that. Andropogon tenuis pathius. This used to be Andropogon glomeratus. Eragrostis eliadii. Okay, we didn't see any Eragrostis atrovirans yesterday working in the hole in the donut, but this unfortunately is a pretty common one as well. Here's Andropogon virginicus, Coelurachus rugosa. This is the one that we saw kind of towards the end right before we left that I was all excited about. And yeah, some of the names here are different from the names that we write down. Like this Panicum dichotomiflorum. This is the one, Panicum rigidulum. It's Coleatania rigidula instead of Panicum rigidulum. So you got to watch out for a lot of that. Maiden cane, etc. So you can scroll through here and see all the grasses. As you scroll down, you're seeing one observation. That means that I haven't observed it, or other people haven't observed it as often. So it could be that it's a rarer species, could be that it's harder to identify, or maybe, I just didn't post as many observations and other people haven't either. Okay, so those are grasses. Let's look at the sedges. You come in here and you type in sedges. And now there are 29 different sedge species so far that have been posted here. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. It doesn't mean that these are the only sedges. It's just this is what's been documented, again, mostly by me. These 642 observations, how many of those sedges were me? 600. So a lot of the data here is like very skewed towards my observations because I'm the person that spent the most time covering ground out there on iNaturalist. Obviously, Steve is really the guy who spent the most time in the hole in the donut. And I bet if he did iNaturalist, these numbers would be insane. So we got Cladium meriscus, or I was calling this Cladium meriscoides geminicensis. So Cladium meriscus, Rhynchospora microcarpa, we saw that yesterday. Eleochris geniculata, Cyperus haspan, Furina brevicida, we saw all of these yesterday. Rhynchospora colorata as well. Eleochris cellulosa. So a lot of these names are going to sound familiar just from that one day that we were out there. And again, I'm going to study all of these plants now in order to be more prepared for when we go out. Let's look at the asters. I'm looking at the aster family, Asteraceae. Okay, and then here you can see the most observed asters. Mycania scandens, I forgot to mention, is part of the aster family, right? Plukia bacris over here with 74. There's Bacris glomeruliflora. I don't know if that's how I was saying it. Glomeruliflora. I think I might have been saying glomerulifolia. Clonoclinium solecinum. This is one that we saw that I could not remember its name. And yeah, so this is just a really, really good way of getting to know the data. Now, again, this is for the entire hole in the donut. Okay. I opened another tab over here. Remember, I did that by putting hole in the donut and then clicking on this restoration area 2020. That's the one that we worked in yesterday. If you wanted to focus on a different restoration area, like let's say 1989, which is the oldest one, you can do that and then click view observations. And then, it's setting a filter so that it's not the entire hole in the donut anymore. Now it's only showing me observations within this restoration area. As you can see, not nearly as many observations. Well, I didn't compare yet to 2020 as 2020 because I've worked in 2020 many times, whereas 1989, it's like a little bit further. It's harder to access. I haven't been here too many times. I think I've only worked there once with Steve because, yeah, this one's only being visited once every 5 years. So when we worked on this restoration area, I only posted 169 observations here. We've worked in this one 4 years out of the 5 that I've worked in the hole in the donut. I've also come here on my own time to post observations, so that's why you see such a huge difference in observation count and, you know, in species count. Obviously, this one just doesn't have as much data on iNaturalist because it's harder to reach. Notice also 2022, 71 observers, because it's just so easily accessible. It's like the first thing you see of the hole in the donut when you get down there. This one only has 2 observers, right? 168 observations from me and 1 from this friend of mine named Andres. So keep that all in mind. But all right, let's go to 2022 since it has more data. And the same way, you know, you can filter for asters, you can filter for asters over here. And if you click grid mode, it shows you all of the observations. So this is mixing all the different species together. If you scroll up and you put species, then again, we're doing that very convenient way of filtering from most observed to least observed. So, excuse me. So here's Plukia odorata. This is the one that has that really nice smell. Plukia baccharis. Remember, these have sessile leaves, which means the leaves connect right to the stem. And this one is petiolate, which means that the leaves are connected to the stem via petioles. But yeah, you can scroll down and see all of the Asteraceae. Look at the Symphytrichum adnatum, the scale leaf aster. We saw this right at the end, pretty close to the car, close to the pine rockland, the northern end of 2022. Here's Acmella. I was calling this Acmella posifolia. I guess they changed it to Acmella repens. This is the one that you chew the leaves and it's kind of minty. But yeah, so this is, I'm trying to make this video short, but you know, this is just like a quick crash course on how to play around with this. If we're going to work in hole in the donut, a restoration area 2013, you just put hole in the donut 2013. Make sure you put view observations rather than about. I mean, you could always fix it if you put about, but it doesn't make as much sense to do that with a location as it does with a project. And then you can see some observations from there. This is just all of them, the most recent ones. If you only want to see observations from, you know, the months of, I don't know, November and December, you can also filter it that way, and that will cut down on your observations. Oof, a dead grasshopper sparrow. That's a bummer. It's a nice little bird that we get. But yeah, that's how this works. In fact, let me filter for birds really quick. And I'm going to do this not just in Res Area 2013. I'm going to do it for the whole hole in the donut. So I'm going to come down here to filters. And I'm going to put project, I'm going to put hole in the donut. Okay, here's the restoration area. Let me get rid of the place filter. I can do that by hitting this X or by hitting this X. So now again, it's showing me the entire hole in the donut observation and the birds that have been posted there. Not very many. Is this right? Oh, that's because it's only showing me, I forgot I had this filter for the months. Let me put it so it's showing all months rather than just December. There you go, 412. I was like, wow, only 70 bird observations. It's crazy. I probably have more than 70 myself. Yeah, I've got 201. And then you go to species and you can see the most observed bird. Look at the eastern meadowlark in first place. So again, this is part of the blackbird family. Red-winged blackbird is also a common bird that you see in the hole in the donut. We didn't see any yesterday. And you can kind of scroll through. You can do this for anything. You can do this for reptiles. And you can get specific too. You know, if you only want to see snakes, instead of searching reptiles, you type in snakes here. Okay. So the possibilities are endless. This is why I'm so obsessed with iNaturalist, because the way that data is organized is really, really, really convenient. It's just a great way to learn about what you can find. And, you know, don't limit your use of iNaturalist to the hole in the donut. I mean, it's definitely great for learning right now since you're trying to, you know, get really familiar with the plants, but play around with this. You know, you can put redo search and map area. Let me get rid of this project filter. And you can see all the snakes that have been observed in South Florida, 10,000 observations, 41 different species, which is the most commonly observed one, the black racer, right? Then comes cottonmouth, banded water snake. And this, you know, you can zoom in to Key Biscayne. Let's say you want to see what snakes have been seen on Key Biscayne, put redo search and map area, and you can kind of squeeze this down so it's showing only Key Biscayne. And then you can see 130 snake observations, 50 of them is the North American racer, eastern rat snake. They got some corn snakes on Key Biscayne, the Bremini blind snake, etc. So I hope you can play around a bit with this. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And yeah, that is your crash course on how to use iNaturalist to look around. I'm sure I missed a million things, but yeah, hope you enjoy.